Question number 5. Use a number line to add or subtract. So when you're using the number line, you need to indicate and start, well, first of all, start from 0. And we're going to go left, -1. That's our first number. And plus +3 is just going to be +3. So 1, 2, 3 to the right. So my answer is going to be +2. So in this case, I would have rewritten my question so it's clear as -1 plus 3. Let's go to the next question. How do we rewrite that? We rewrite that as +6. Now plus minus changes to minus. So it would be +6 minus 4. So starting at 0, I'm going to go to the right, 6, because I've got +6. From that point, at the +6, I'm now going to go left 4. That's my -4. That's going to leave me at +2. So my answer would be +2. Let's look at C. I'm going to rewrite the question as -4. First term stays the same. And then I have minus positive, so that's going to turn into a -6. So from 0, I'm going to go to -4. And then from that -4, I'm going to go another -6. So -4 first, and then -6, which will leave me at -10. Finally, D. Rewriting it as -5. First term stays the same. Then I see a minus, which turns into a +3. So from 0, I go -5. Then from -5, I'm going to go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3 to the right. And that's going to leave me at -2. And that's number 5. Let's look at number 6. When you add two positive integers, I'll make this a little bigger, their sum is always a positive integer. When you subtract two positive integers, is their difference always a positive integer? Okay, so let's look at that. When you subtract two positive integers, is their difference always positive? Well, let's look at an example. So we're going to go +9, and we're subtracting another positive integer. So I'm going to subtract +8. I'm going to rewrite that. So to rewrite that, I'm going to leave the first term as +9, and then my minus plus turns into a minus. So that's going to be +9 minus 8. So if I go to the right 9 and subtract 8, then I'm going to be left at +1. So in this case, when I'm subtracting two positive integers, I get a positive answer. Well, let's see if I can set up a situation where I would get a negative. So +9 minus, let's try a bigger number. Let's try +10. Well, I'm going to rewrite that as +9. And then I have a minus and a positive, which will be -10. If I go to the right 9 and then to the left 10, I'm going to end up at -1. So I can see here that the difference is not always positive. So when we subtract two positive integers, so this part, when we subtract two positive integers, sometimes the answer is negative. Is negative. And when would that situation be? Well, if the second integer is larger than the first, then it's going to be negative. So if the second integer is larger than the first, then it's going to be negative. So I'll actually put a colon here. So sometimes the answer is negative if or when. I'll erase that and change that to when the second integer is larger than the first. Let's look at number 7. At midnight in North Bay, the temperature was -5. During the next 24 hours, the temperature rose 12 and dropped 9. What's the final temperature? So we're starting at -5. That's our starting point. So we're going to write that out, -5. During the next 20 hours, the temperature rose 12 degrees. So that's a plus. I'm adding a new temperature. I'm adding +12. Then it dropped minus. then it dropped 9 degrees. And I can write that in two ways. I could simply write minus 9, or I could write plus because we're adding another temperature, but in this case we're adding a negative temperature. So you could write it like that, or you could have written it like this, minus 5 plus 12 because we're going up 12, minus 9 because we're going down. Either way would have been fine. You could write it way number 1 or way number 2. Ends up being the same. So then on your number line, we're going to try and solve this and say, well, in this case we have minus 5. We're going to add 12. So we go 5 to the left and 12 to the right. So if we had a number line here, I'm just going to roughly sketch it out. We go 5 to the left to minus 5. Then we're going to go 12 to the right plus 12. That's going to bring us to positive 7. So if I just do that first part here, I'm going to have positive 7. And then I'm going to subtract 9 from my positive 7. So back to the left, get to 0, and then 2 more. That's going to leave me, if I do my minus 9, that's going to leave me at negative 2 over here. So my answer is negative 2. So the final temperature was negative 2 degrees. So I could write down, if it's a full sentence, the final temperature. I'm just going to write temp was minus 2 degrees Celsius. And I might want to double check that. So maybe up to the side over here, I've got minus 5, then plus 12, then minus 9. So let's see, minus 5 plus 12 is going to give me plus 7. 7 minus 9 is going to give me minus 2. Okay, so I've double checked my work there just off to the side to make sure. And let's look at number 9. We're going to skip number 8. You can do that on your own. Look at the answer sheet. Here's number 9. You don't need tiles here. We're going to use the number line. Find the difference between a temperature of plus 5 and minus 7. So these are my two temperatures. Important to write that down. And difference, of course, means subtraction. So I'm going to rewrite that as positive 5. First term stays the same. Minus minus turns into a positive 7. So on my number line, 0's here. I'm going to go to the right, plus 5. And then I'm going to go to the right again, plus 7. And that will leave me at positive 12. So my answer is plus 12. Now, of course, when you're drawing your number lines out, I'd like you to draw them out nice and neatly with even divisions. I'm just doing it a little bit roughly here. Maybe I can actually get a number line going out here in a second. Let's see if I can do this. No, that didn't work. Okay, so the next question. Find the difference between an elevation of minus 100, minus 100 and plus 50. So I've got minus 100 and I've got plus 50, and it's a difference, so it's subtraction. So I'm going to rewrite that as minus 100. First term stays the same. Then I've got a minus plus, turns into minus 50. So if I've got my number line here, and let's say this is 0, and let's say this is minus 100, well, the first step is the minus 100. And the second step is minus another 50. That's going to leave me at minus 150. And C, a golf score of 1 over par and 1 under par. So 1 over is plus 1, and 2 under is minus 2. And par, by the way, is used in golf, and each hole, so when you have a hole, you've got to get the little golf ball into your hole here. Each hole has a number that somebody has decided is the right number of swings or shots to take. So for example, a particular hole might have par 4, which means if you get the ball into the hole in 4 shots, then you are at par or even par. If you get into this hole in 3 shots only, you would be considered 1 under par. If you get the golf ball into the hole In 5 shots, you would be 1 over par. So golfers use over and under par as a way to realize if they're, to determine if they're shooting well or not well. So anyway, we have plus 1, and we're going to subtract minus 2. We'll rewrite that as plus 1, and because we have negative negative, we'll write plus 2, which of course is 3. We don't really even need a number line for that one.